Hey, this is Matt once again. We're back to another video, and this is a paid request for Bobby. Thank you so much for that. For those interested, requesting any type of videos, movie reviews, re-reviews, random thoughts, streams, commentaries, video game playthrough for an hour, a full playthrough, tier list, rankings, random thoughts, whatever the case may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal. Do have a CashApp as well. Links are down below in the info box, and I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. For those who sent them, thank you. I do truly appreciate it. And this is for Bobby, who's been generous guy. Thank you so much, Bobby. Who wanted me to look at The Lost City from 2022, starring Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum. You also have Daniel Radcliffe from Harry Potter. He plays the villain in this. You have Brad Pitt having a bit role in this. Divine Joy Randolph. I remember she was in this film called The Holdovers with Paul Giamatti, which I thought was pretty good. She played this one person's mother in the film. She got nominated for quite a few awards. Did a good job in that, The Holdovers. And this is pretty much Romancing the Stone. That's what it is. I think many people will view it as Romancing the Stone, but not as good. And this was, I hate to say it, mediocre. It was passable, but I would never see the film again. And I'm a big Sandra Bullock fan. Like, people don't know, I'm a big Sandra Bullock fan. I like I'm bad with names though. The last film one of the last films she did, that was a drama, and I can't remember the name of it. I love her in the film Speed, Demolition Man. Actually, I got a computer here. Why don't I just look at filmography? I know, it's annoying when someone does this. Should have been more prepared, but it is what it is. I know they're doing a Practical Magic 2. I don't know why, because I don't even think that's one of her best films. I'm not even a fan of Practical Magic 1. But Love Potion number 9, I've never seen, I've heard of. Hangman, that's one of those movies that I would always see like for $1 at DVD bargain bins, and I never saw it. I never picked it up because it looked like shit. But yeah, Demolition Man, Speed, The Net, A Time to Kill. Forces of Nature was cute. You know, I thought it was okay. Yeah, I could watch it. Murder by Numbers was there. Miss Congeniality, the first one, I actually had some fun with. 28 Days, not later, but I haven't seen that in a while. And some of these, 2 Weeks Notice, I haven't seen. Although I like Sandra Bullock and Hugh Grant. The Lake House I thought was sweet, with Sandra Bullock and Keanu Reeves. The Proposal had some okay fun with her and Ryan Reynolds. The Blind Side, although it's interesting when you look at the real life story and what's happened with some of those people. The Heat, I liked because of her. I think that film is fun. I love Gravity. I know some people don't. Gravity was one of my favorite films in the past 10 years. Well, actually, now, God, it's been longer than that. That's crazy. That's been longer. It's been, Jesus, 12 years. Holy shit. I saw it in the theater. I love Gravity. The Unforgivable was the one I was talking about. And what's funny, she doesn't overstay his welcome. She doesn't do as many movies as you think. Like, since 12 years, she's done 3, 4, 5, 6, 7... 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 movies. Which, granted, may seem a lot, but 3 of them were in 1 year. One was a voice in a documentary, and then 2 films. The Heat and Gravity, which were both hits. And then, after that, she did Minions, Our Brand is Crisis, Ocean's 8, which I never saw, Bird Box I never saw, The Unforgivable, which I liked. This one, and then Bullet Train in the same year. What's funny is, Brad Pitt is in this, and I think there is some kind of deal between these actors where Brad Pitt's like, someone said, okay, Brad Pitt does The Lost City, but Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum have to do Bullet Train. Because they both appear in each other's movies, and they came out the same year. Because in Sandra Bullock, she's the one. I mean, in Sandra. Well, I mean, you know, in my dreams, but in Bullet Train, Sandra Bullock is the one taught to her Brad Pitt, kind of her like the carrier, her supervisor, ally, however you want to put it. And then she pops up at the end of the film, but mostly you just hear her voice. And then Channing Tatum is like on a train, thinking Brad Pitt's picking him up. And then Brad Pitt is in this movie as this mercenary who's hired to try to rescue Sandra Bullock. So it's fun, like how they kind of had this deal to be in the other movies. Although Bullet Train, much better movie. I think Brad Pitt won out on that deal. Because Bullet Train, they both made around the same in the U.S., but Bullet Train did better worldwide. It made a bit more money. But Bullet Train I thought was a lot better, a lot more fun than this. So, but the reason I said it's like Romancing the Stone, what was the plot of Romancing the Stone? You had this woman who writes these romance novels, and then she gets involved with in this adventure where there's danger and being taken hostage, and then this guy comes in. So it's not an exact remake, but you're going to feel a bit of deja vu with the general premise. In this, Sandra Bullock is a romance adventure novelist. Her husband has died for a couple years ago. She stays at home. She kind of has writer's block. She don't end writing this type of stuff because she doesn't have the passion. She doesn't have the romance anymore. Since her husband died, she just feels empty. So that's why her books suffer. She doesn't really want to write anymore, and she just wants to stay at home. Although with the way the world is today, I want to stay at home too, so I don't blame you, Sandy. I don't blame you. I do like how at the beginning, like in the middle of this adventure, and then how she like deletes. There's states there. She deletes the states, and she deletes this and deletes that, and you see the idea. This is all in her mind, and it's her trying to write this, and it's not working out. So she's doing a press tour. Her manager is Divine Joy Randolph. That was in, again, The Holdovers. Good Paul Giamatti film. And during it, the guy who is the model that does the book covers, kind of like Fabio, not my friend Fabio, although I don't know, maybe that's something he does on his off time. We don't know about it yet. You never know. Maybe I'll go to a bookstore if they still exist, and I'll find Fabio, on a bookstore book cover doing this. But, Fabio, I can't believe it's not Butter Fabio. Those guys, like, doing with the fucking shirts open. They got, like, the 8-pack, not a 6-pack, but an 8-pack, and not the beer, just the whole 8-pack. And, these trashy romance novels. So he's the model cover, but he likes to think of himself as a character. He really gets into it, and the women are fawning over him. But you do tell he really does like Sandra Bullock, but Sandra Bullock does not respect Channing Tatum. Channing Tatum, okay, he's a guy I warmed up to him as years have come and gone. I don't like, what was the movie, Fighting? I never cared for that film. He was in G.I. Joe. I don't care for that film. But I like him in 21 Jump Street. I like 22 Jump Street. I like White House Down. And he's pretty much doing, the dumb jock stuff that you saw a bit in 21 and 22 Jump Street. If you don't like that stuff, I don't think this is going to change your mind. It's not as funny as it was in 21 Jump Street. It feels a little bit old hat. But I mean, there's stuff like he calls her a human mummy, and someone goes, "Mummies are human." So he'll say dumb stuff like that. And once in a while, there's a moment that got a chuckle out of me. Like Sandra Bullock's fed up. She goes outside, she kicks a trash can, it falls, then she immediately regrets it and picks it back up and tries to fix it again. I thought that was kind of funny. One that leads to another, she's taken into a limo or a truck or vehicle and is taken to Daniel Radcliffe, who is in Harry Potter, among other movies. He's a billionaire looking for the crown of fire, which was referenced in her books. Her husband was an archaeologist. She joined him, and that's how she got into writing these type of novels in the first place. He wants to know where this crown of fire is. She's like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to tell you. You know, my husband's dead. He's like, well, that just leaves me you, and I'm going to take you with me. And does. Channing Tatum and Divine Joy Randolph and them, they don't know what to do. They call a specialist. Brad Pitt is involved. Oh, she has something on with her watch. Put it open. It shows where she's going. They're taking her to this island. Channing Tatum joins Brad Pitt. They go over there. Brad Pitt tells him to stay. And you get to see Brad Pitt kick some ass, which was nice. And there was some fun stuff. I mean, Gray, have you seen a lot of action films in recent years? This stuff may seem typical, but, you know, Brad Pitt handles it well, just like he did in Bullet Train. And what's weird is, while I don't dislike Channing Tatum in this movie, I will say, when it's Brad Pitt and Sandra Bullock, there's chemistry there. And I'm sitting there going, you know what? There's stuff that could have been done better. Yes. The action scenes are not that memorable. There's not even a whole lot of action scenes. And when they're there, like when Brad Pitt's kicking ass, I mean, it's fun to see. You know, very over the top, very cartoonish. But you're supposed to be this over the top mercenary guy that he's portraying. But still some fun stuff. But after that, I mean, there's not a whole lot. It's them in the jungle and they're being chased, or they help get this guy off a motorcycle who hits another guy that's on another motorcycle. Or they go to this village and Sandra Bullock gets caught, and then Channing Tatum tries to get onto this vehicle and does, and can barely fight. And one guy gets knocked off with a branch. I'm like, what is this, Willow? And the action after that, there's nothing that will really be remotely memorable or that intriguing. It just becomes very filler. Like one of those movies you pop in and there's noise and sound and visuals and you're doing stuff on your computer. You go back to watching. And I didn't do that watching this, but I felt like doing it. Because if I'm doing a request, I'm going to focus on the movie as much as I can, unless it's a really fucking awful, boring movie, and inadvertently my mind wanders, and not on purpose. But yeah, it's one of those things where it feels very by the numbers. This, you know, some people say, you know, that's how a lot of Netflix movies are. And there are some I like. I mean, Day Shift, Six Underground, Bright, Extraction 1 and 2. This feels like one of those, not quite as bad as like what The Rock does. Red Notice, Red One, whatever the fuck else it is. But in that ballpark. So does this feel like a movie that would have just gone straight to streaming? And maybe would have if it wasn't for Sandra Bullock, because there are times, you know, she could come out with a movie and it'll be a hit. Now I don't know if this was considered a hit. I think it did make over $100 million in the U.S., but the budget, I think, was it 78? I can't remember. So I don't know if it was still considered a hit or not. And the jokes at times are obvious. So like the temple is the temple of D. So they'll say, oh, the D is exposed itself. Oh, just the tip. You get it? The D as in the dick. But it's not the dick, it's the D of, yeah, I get it. This is the Dial of Destiny. Although this is, I'll watch this over the Dial of Destiny, I'll say that. Even Daniel Radcliffe, he's having fun with the role. As like this guy who's a villain, but then he's like trying to be nice. Oh, I'm sorry, was that creepy? I'm sorry if that was too creepy for you. But even that, like recent years, you kind of seen that type of villain before, where they're trying to be like very, like they're a villain, but they're sorry they're being a villain, like trying to be funny about it. But I think Daniel Radcliffe, he had the right tone of fun. Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum, I don't think it's not that they didn't have any chemistry. It's just I felt Sandra Bullock and Brad Pitt had better chemistry. I felt that way with Bullet Train, and it was just them talking on headsets until at the very end when you see them as a together. Sorry, that was barely English, but yeah, spoilers. Brad Pitt goes in, he kicks some ass. Sandra Bullock stuck to a chair, so we don't have time. So Brad Pitt's like pushing her on this cart. I do like the song choice, "Shadows of the Night" by Pat Benatar. Shadows of the night. I like that you see practical explosions and like Brad Pitt, he's not feeling it, but then Sandra Bullock's like this and Channing Tatum's like this. So you could tell like it's a real reaction. I like the song choice. I think that's a cool scene. It's a fun scene. But then they escape. Brad Pitt's trying to get her out of the chair, and Brad Pitt gets shot in the head. Now, he doesn't die because at the end of the film, I said spoilers. From spoilers. At the end of the film, during the credits, you see that he did survive, and he kind of has a grudge against them. You left me to die out there, as they're all meditating. That was kind of a funny bit, because I didn't expect that. And considering Brad Pitt, I think is one of the best parts of the film. But yeah, I do think this would have worked better if it was Brad Pitt instead of Channing Tatum. I do. I think it would have been, I don't know if it would have been a more successful film, but yet he was doing Bullet Train, so he couldn't do both. And if I had to pick, I'd rather have him do Bullet Train than this. So it is what it is. But then after that, it's kind of Channing Tatum drives the car, swerves. They both accidentally, Sandra Bullock gets thrown out, helps her get out of this chair she's in. The car tips over, goes down the cliff. They go through some water. There's leeches on Channing Tatum's body. She gets the leeches off. There's a funny reaction when he turns around naked and she kind of stares and she kind of rambles on. Like, that was kind of funny because I think Sandra Bullock does have charm to her. They go through the jungle. Like I said, there's some guys chasing more motorcycles. They fuck up one or two of them. They get to this village. They bond a little bit, dance a little bit. Sandra Bullock gets captured. Then he gets on a vehicle, gets on the truck. Eventually they get captured anyway. They're sent to these caves. There's this crypt. And you find out there's no treasure. The whole crown of fire is a metaphor for love and loss. And Sandra Bullock, of course, tastes this for her own life. Daniel Radcliffe is pissed because there's no actual treasure, which he's a billionaire. So it's not like he needed the money, but he just wanted to own something no one else had. So that's his reason for it. Take that for what you will. In the midst of all this, Divine Joy Randolph goes over there, meets up with this weirdo pilot. who kind of has the hots for her. And some of her bits are kind of funny. She has some kind of entertaining reactions to certain situations, so I didn't mind her. But yeah, things are crumbling down. The two leads escape the crypt. Daniel Radcliffe gets arrested on the boat. Does Divine, Joy Randolph, and them arrive. As I'm explaining it, you can tell that it just doesn't sound like much. It doesn't sound like much of an adventure. There's not a whole lot of pitfalls and I don't know, just a lot of adventure aspect you're looking for. The clues, the treasure, the gold, all the stuff that you really want out of an adventure story. You know, more close calls and practical action and daring escapades and stunt sequences and even Teen Solomon's Mines with Richard Chamberlain. You know, where Richard Chamberlain's like, I got it with the dynamite, and throws the dynamite, and there's gunfire, and there's like crocodiles over here, and there's traps, booby traps, and stuff that really feels like an adventure. Here's a tribe here, and they gotta deal with the tribe, and are they going to eat them? Are they cannibals? That's not really the case here. It just feels like not a whole lot happens except kind of the bare essentials, and because of that, it just becomes a very mediocre, run-of-the-mill movie. That it didn't make me mad, it didn't make me upset, angry, lashing out, pissed. It's just, that's kind of reaction. I love Sandra Bullock. Channing Tatum I could deal with. Brad Pitt. Glad he got bullet trained because it's a better movie than this. But part of me still wishes he was in this more. But yeah, it's just a very, unless you're a diehard fan of these actors, or you have I don't know if this is on Netflix or other stuff. If you have one of those streaming services and you want to put something on that's harmless. It's mediocre, it's forgettable, but it's harmless. Like I said, they made me mad, but I mean, there's plenty of adventure films I like. Teen Solomon's Mines I like more than this. Firewalker with Chuck Norris I like more than this. National Treasure 1 and 2 I like more than this. Of course, the Indiana Jones, the first 4. I'll watch this over Dial of Destiny, I'll tell you that. I know I said it before, but I'll repeat it again. But I mean, there's a lot of better adventure movies out there. So, The Goonies, among others. Like I said, just very forgettable. Again, I don't know if it was the directors, the script. Like I said, there's not a lot of memorable set pieces. Again, the chemistry, like I said, it's sad. Sandra and Brad Pitt, their chemistry was more stronger. You really need that chemistry to be electric and not just, it's okay, like it was between Sandra and Channing Tatum. And like I said, very kind of just by the numbers. It didn't do anything that unique or, like I said, I mean, Romancing the Stone. If you're familiar with that movie, you don't be familiar with this movie. So take that for what you will. Thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye for now.